What's up, gamers? Who's ready for another modern episode? This time we've got some Modern Horizons 3 shenanigans. Slightly, all right? Modern Horizons 3 is in full swing, and we've got Dredge versus Hardened Scales today. So there are a couple of pieces that these players are trying out in their list. Dredge at least has a little bit more obvious of a effect with the way things are working, where Hardened Scales is pretty true. There's a few against things players are trying out, which we'll get to if they show up in the game today. But Hardened Scales versus Dredge. I mean, Dredge is one of those decks that's starting to rise up, or rise back up, I guess you could say. It's really good when the meta is in flux and people are still trying to figure things out, like this nice sort of linear, hey, let me just do my thing. And when we've got our Tome Scour here, and immediately our Hardened Scales player was like, I hate this. Yeah, this is kind of the more or less list people are running. Some variations of fluctuations back and forth between things, but for the most part, this is what we're seeing. If you're wondering about the deck list, you can check the description down below. We've got our Moxfiled links for everybody to be able to enjoy and check out. But a nice little Hardened Scales opening up with the Arcbound Ravager. So right now we're in this setup phase. The Dredge deck, the first few turns are all about setting up and trying to get things like this Creeping Chill into your graveyard, getting things like Narcomoeba, getting things like our Prized Amalgam. Like, the goal is very straightforward on how it does things. Getting to that point, it takes a little bit of work, though, so you have to try to get some Dredge creatures in there. There were no Dredge creatures in there, so we had to rely on the Dark Blast, but we're hoping to be able to hit things like Stinkweed Imp, Golgari Thug, things like that. But we're having another setup turn for our Hardened Scales player. They're going to be getting the Ancient Stirrings, trying to get some additional pieces to help kind of go for the nice power up here. They have the option to be able to go wide like traditional Affinity, or they can go Pierce. It is more of a Pierce style strategy than other decks out there, right? I can manipulate my +1 counters, sack a bunch of stuff to Arcbound Ravager, and just kind of go all in on one creature, right? Pierce through and kill you. Especially with the option of Inkmoth Nexus and things like that. But Shadow Spear coming out here, of course, lifelink, trample, nice, giving +1. The other benefit is it's an artifact that you can sack to Arcbound Ravager. We'll see if that's relevant or not. But just a little pokey. Here's a Dark Blast. Take 1 to -1 that. We'll still take 1. It all equals out life total, but the point is not to equal out the life total and reduce damage here. The point is to get a Dredge mechanic card in the graveyard that we can then start dredging again. So let's see. Bam, replacement effect. I'm not going to draw. I'm going to dredge these 3 cards. We finally hit a Stinkweed Imp. Another Creeping Chill, which is nice, because then that helps us be able to bring back our Silver Smoot Ghoul. But let's see. What do we have a good payout here? Losing some life again. Escaping the Ox. So Ox of Agnes here. 4/2. When it enters the battlefield, discard your hand, draw 3 cards. So we're going to spend a little bit more time going through and discussing a little bit of the cards, because this has been the first Dredge deck that we've had on the channel in years. So usually when we're featuring newer decks or talking about decks, we spend a little bit more time going through what the deck does, how it's piloting, information that you need to worry about with it. So right now we're hitting the replacement effects, right? The Ox escape, so we're going to draw 3 cards. But instead of drawing cards, we're going to be activating these Dredge effects. So you say boom, boom, boom. Our goal is to try to fill up our graveyard with many powerful things like our Prized Amalgams, our Narcomoebas, our Creeping Chills here, which is great. Boom, there's another one. What was that, 3 that we've hit already? Gain 3, deal 3. So that was, of course, our Ox's ability. Now Narcomoeba is going to come back because it went directly from your graveyard, or from your library to your graveyard, and when another creature, of course, is returned, Prized Amalgam gets to be able to enter the battlefield tapped. And then, of course, we also have this. If you gain 3 or more life, return Silver Smoot Ghoul. Smoot? I think it's Smote. Silver Smote. Ghoul. Yeah, so now this is the scary part, right? That was turn 3. Turn 4? Where were we? Turn 3? Yes, because our Hardened Scale just hit their 4th land drop. And you can see just how much power is coming at you next turn. You're saying, okay, I need to find a way to kill you here, or I die. Basically is the way you're sitting at it. Can I put enough blockers in the way? No, but the one ring will help buy some time. Let's draw a card and be protected from everything, so that big old wall of creatures there ain't gonna help us. Yeah, we can't really push in for combat here because the Ox is a 5/3 right now. So even if we start sacking stuff, it's not gonna help us. So we just gotta sit back and relax. We're gonna dredge back the Dark Blast. Very important here, knowing the lines of what can kill us. Right. Arcbound Ravager isn't going to be the one that's trying to kill us here. It's going to be more of the Ink Moth. So we could be able to hold back our Dark Amoebas. We could be able to try to utilize Dark Blast to try to get around these little shenanigans of loading up an Ink Moth here. Let's see what is the... Do we make a guy? What are we doing? Walking Ballista. That's a nice one. Of course, the Hardened Scales helping, giving it additional counter. You could be able to start shooting different things. Let's see. One. Shoot this Narcomoeba. Very important to clear the road.
You have Dark Blast in hand, right? Okay.
And then just getting that confirmation. You have Dark Blast in hand, right? You dredge that, right? So, yes. It's like here are the dredge cards that you knew about from me dredging before. Let's activate the Ink Moth. It is, of course, 1/1 flying. Infect, if you've played Infect, if you've played Hardened Scales, if you've played Hammer Time, that card should be familiar to you. And if not, hey, get familiar. It's time to spread some sickness. Let's go get some Infect. Let's do some sacrificing.
I'm going to tap and draw 2.
All right, so we're in this weird spot. You cannot go all in on the Ink Moth like you might want to, because you will be left in a bad spot, because the opponent will respond. Dredge player will sit there and be like, all right, let's kill it, in response to you trying to move the counters over there, unless you had like a second Arcbound Ravager or some other way to do it, but that is not the case. Play our land for turn. And pass. Let's try to Dark Blast the Walking Ballista. Do we care? We probably want this Walking Ballista left alive, but Arcbound Ravager going to get sacrificed to itself here, so we can basically have a machine gun that we can start shooting down a bunch of these creatures. Remember, our the ghouls are 3/1, so they can be able to be destroyed here and shot and killed. And we'll get some dredging. There's a prized amalgam in there. Creeping chill, gonna drain again. Bam, bam, bam.
I'll be at 25 because I took one on the
Mana Confluence, putting him 25 because all these pain lands you've got there. Double checking through the graveyard. That's the thing about like the dredge list, and you always know when you're at an event who's playing dredge, just because their board state looks crazy. But most of the time, it's not their board that's crazy; it's their graveyard. With the exception of this, like they got all the big hits that they wanted. So this is going to be real tough. You're going to have to remove 2 counters, shoot 2 of the 3/1s.
Do you have any effect before damage? I will remove 1 counter, deal 1
Shoot this.
remove another counter, deal 1 here.
Shoot this.
Then I think God, oh fuck. Yeah, I'll remove
Yeah, shoot another one. Are we trading off?
These trade, and I take 3.
Yeah, we can do it. Got a 4.
Say, yeah, that's fine. We'll trade this, do this. The only downside
Second main.
Yeah.
is we can just escape the Ox again.
24.
Would you at 7, taking 3 to 4?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know any. Like, the problem is you got stuck in this weird line of like you want to kill your opponent with infect damage, right? Because they're gaining so much life, but you're left in this position. But is there a way out? There's potentially a way out, depending on what you're going to be getting off of that Urza Saga. Stinkweed Imp flying is dredging. Cannot cast it right now, but we're really just using it for the dredging effect. Yeah, look at that mess. Then you kind of got to go through and look through. Okay, what do we care about? All right, there's another Stinkweed.
3.
3. Okay.
It's like, how many cards are you drawing? 3, but instead of drawing, we're going to use these Stinkweed Imps. Ooh, Narcomoebas. That's really good. So now you're basically feeling good as a dredge player, saying, okay, I've got blockers. I'm feeling good. We're just going to draw this one card as well. So dredge 2, Stinkweed Imps, draw 1. 3 cards in hand, 2 known, 1 unknown.
Do you want Pepsis?
Oh, wait, yeah, you got me Pepsi.
Yeah.
Sorry. I thought you said the BJB and I tricked you. Oh, okay. Those are there. End step.
All right, end step. Do we got any effects? Yeah, prized amalgam's coming back.
I did not gain any life. No, I did gain life in combat. Cool. Cool.
You did? You creeping chill at the beginning of the turn.
Amalgam.
All right. The swarm is back. All right, this is the power of the dredge deck, and a reason why some players are playing it in the Modern Horizons 3, not only from some of the power and the new Cephalopod Coliseum, which is a new land, but also just because of this. Right? You go, yeah, that's cool that you're trying to do these shenanigans. I'm just going to run you over before you get a chance to do that. All right, Zabaz, the Glimmerwasp, getting found off of our Urza Saga, the modular, so it's a 2/2. What can we do with that?
Just extremely upset.
Just dice all over the fucking field.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Represent nothing. I would like to cut. That one represents the 1 mana I still have.
1 mana floating from Urza Saga.
Games, actually.
Pendelhaven, that's the land. Might not be relevant. We're at 1 Infect right now.
1 mana, 1 mana.
1 mana, 1 mana. 2 mana. Oh, Soul Cauldron's nice. All right, what are we going for here? Arcbound doesn't necessarily help us activate Nexus. No mana for Dark Blast. Tapped out.
Tap and exile Ballista.
Walking Ballista to shoot the flyers.
Target.
2 more counters here. Do we have an Arcbound Ravager in hand or something?
Remove 2 counters.
Bink, bink, shoot the flyers. Let's see what we can get through this turn.
Lose a life.
Sure.
In the danger zone.
In the danger zone. Hey, there's the Arcbound. So, 1.
Pretty good.
Starts with 2 counters. Sacrifice 1 thing. Gets 2 more counters. Sacrifices the Boz. Get 2 more counters. Puts it to 6. We have the modular trigger. Puts it on Inkmoth. That's enough to get the kill here. Right? Already at 1. Poison. We just got to deal 9. Move to combat.
I'll sacrifice the boss to Archon Ravager. Modular, or it'll get 2 counters.
Yeah, so that'll get 2 because we're sacrificing Zabaz. Modular.
Target here. Or
Yeah, it doesn't. I feel it doesn't really matter which one gets the modular, right? The modular, it's all going to be fine no matter what. All right, there's 3. 5 is 8 counters, or you get above and beyond and sacrifice your Soul Cauldron. I don't think it really matters. But both lines get you to death, right? Bam.
You have the Soul Cauldron stack too.
8 plus
Yeah, no, I knew that. I
1
just didn't
is
want
9,
to
10
use
total
that.
infects. So yeah, and then the Dredge player said you could have stacked your Soul Cauldron too, and it's like I could have, but you know.
I'm gonna have fucking regular Muller in a minute.
Yeah, our Dredge players. I'm gonna bring original Malira in and start teaching these Infect players a lesson. That's don't do that. Don't hate out our decks so bad like that. All right, game 2, Dredge. Going to be on the play this time versus Hardened Scales. We're doing some sideboard and got through. We're skipping through the sideboards. No sideboard action because it's a lot of face down hidden information that we're not currently doing. So, hey, let's get a surveil and surveil a Dredge creature into the graveyard. How's that sound? Does not sound good if you're the Hardened Scales player. Ancient Stirring set up here. So Dredge players already set up with what they want. Oftentimes you're trying to dump and get a Dredge creature into the graveyard as quickly as possible, and they did that on turn 1. So now they're ready. Boom, 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 and he hits 1 Narcomoeba, nothing else. We got another Dredge creature though, so we're set up for next turn. No prized amalgams coming back, it looks like, with that one there. So, but again, Narcomoebas are actually very relevant in this matchup. Not only just for the functioning of the Dredge deck and what they need to do to bring back Prize Amalgam, but also as a blocker against Inkmoth Nexus. Bing, bing, bing. Let's do some fetching. Some yeah. Putting that in the graveyard. Well, everything goes to the graveyard with this deck, but... Ooh, Cathartic Reunion. Let's dump these 2 cards, draw 3, which turns into Dredge 3. Or, well, sorry, Dredge 6. We're gonna use most likely 3 replacement effects. There's boom. The first one is a big whiff. Second one, we got a prized amalgam. Nothing really else here. No creeping chills, no Narcomoebas, nothing. Okay, there's an Narcomoeba to help bring back a prized amalgam, but that was not as good of a hit as maybe we would have needed.
Wow. What am I instant?
Yeah, boom, there's 1, 2. Yeah, that... I mean, we were hoping for a much more explosive with how set up that was, but, like, still, 8 damage coming next turn, but no creeping chills hurts, because then it could have been even more, right? Because there was the Silver Smoot ghoul in there. Urza Saga's our land. Hoping for a good... Okay. Drum and Ozolith, responsive, whatever. Hardened Scales player, I guess, missing the things they need. Don't have the explosion that we got to see in game 1, but... Ooh, Wear and Tears must be their sideboard choices here.
Okay, it's not Aftermath. That's right. It's Meld or whatever.
No, it's not Meld or whatever.
What's the thing?
Oh, they're trying to figure out the fuse, because they're like Meld or whatever it's called from the Ravnica, where you got to cast both sides of
It
it.
does have fuse.
And they're like, yes, fuse. Fuse is what it's called.
Yeah. Ow.
Ow, 8 damage. Big turn.
That hurt. Feels like I'm playing against
Any way to dump any more cards? No, we do have a Wear and Tear, and you saw that debate of wanting to shoot it off now, but wants to hold just in case, depending on what is the next play, right? Because you're not that worried right now with what's on the board. It's a lot of like setup cards. There's nothing that is like that great. You could have blown up the Urza's Saga maybe, but going for the Wear. We don't have access to white because there's no mana confluence or anything like that. So we'll go for the Wear, and we're going to try to respond to the Arcbound Ravager cast and blow up the Drum to try to slow down all that setup that the Hardened Scales player was going for here.
It's not fun. It's not. Pass the turn.
Oh,
Pass
I have
the
a
turn.
Yes, I do.
No one does.
Toxic Decklists.
Any Dredge stuff? Let's dredge. Bang, bang, bang.
The only sideboard card you should really need is
Get the Dark Blasts
Bounty and
back.
Voidwalkers.
Yeah, I have Bounty Voidwalker.
How much am I taking?
The Hardened Scales players, she just goes, how much am I taking? So you were in this, like, do you try to Dark Blast and clear the blocker?
Not.
I don't feel like it's the right play here. You could, but it doesn't really matter, right? Your goal is to just push for damage here. If they block, sweet, right? But you want the Dark Blast in case they do some ink moss shenanigans.
Turn the percentage. Carry it out.
26 cards, 15 of them. I gotta have 4 creeping chills.
Ooh, okay. So we're in the math
You
mode.
hit 4 creeping chills off
It's
the
like,
top.
do I hit the creeping chills so I can just win here?
Okay.
Let's do the Ox. We're gonna escape 8. Get rid of 8 cards. Then we're going to be able to discard our hand and draw 3. So what's so great about this is our hand's full of dredging effects. So we're gonna put these in here, and we're gonna start with our first replacement effect of our Stinkweed Imp. And any creeping chills? No. That's a whiff. Here's our next one. Oh, there's one creeping chill. So there's 2. So that's 6 damage. Puts our opponent to 6 life. All right. Are we gonna get any more creeping chills here? Last one.
You don't have it. You don't have it. Please don't have it.
Nope. We don't have it.
Yeah.
But we do have this.
Block prize Malvolent.
3, 6,
Also
7,
with
8, 9. And with 6 life, even if you block,
Yeah,
there's still
yeah.
Exacxies coming at you. Cannot activate Ink Moth to do any blockers either. So game 2 goes to the Dredge. Tying it up, 1-1. You love to see it. You love to see game 3s in these scenarios here.
Yeah.
Speaking of game 3s and other games we've got coming up for anyone that's still watching, we do have a Hardened Scales versus Hardened Scales mirror in the tank that we're working through. So that's going to be a very complicated one because it's going to be a lot of that kind of board state evaluation and what's happening and what's going on.
Even more
So, but what other decks are you guys interested in seeing? Right now, we do not have any. I say currently. That's bound to change, right? We currently don't have any like Nadu Bird shenanigans at the shop, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before that starts popping up. I might start making some anti-decks to fight those, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Prevent them from drawing extra cards. I guess it's not drawing, right? It's just revealing. Doesn't it reveal the top card? Let's see. I can't remember. I'm going to look that up.
And I hope and pray that I'm never punished.
Somebody in chat is probably already writing. It's not a draw effect. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. Yeah, so it's not a draw effect. Yeah. All right, Springleaf Drum, setup turn for Hardened Scales. Let's see what sort of setup our Dredge player comes up with here. We got a sideboard card. That's shock.
Awesome. Love it. Pay more life.
So we have the Cephalopod in hand. We could have done, so we had the option to Cephalopod and then use that Tome Scour, but we're going to fetch shock and then Tome Scour, it looks like. Either way, we're getting there. The Cephalopod Coliseum cares about that threshold, so you do need to have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Ooh, Creeping Chill hit is nice. Nothing else to go with it, though, but still just starting off with a little splash. Psh, here's 3 to you. I'm going to swap life totals, essentially, with you. Forest. Ooh, that's really nice sideboard card. Unlicensed Hearse. So we get to get rid of 2 cards from a single graveyard. So that says, hey, those are cute Dredge cards you've got. What if they were gone?
Stinkweed Imp and Conflagrate.
Stinkweed Imp
Not counter.
gone.
Count it like this.
Not actually counters, but the Hardened Scales player specifically said, let's count them like this. There's our Cephalopod Coliseum. Now, the main reason players are running it, it's that new Modern Horizons 3 card. It's you sack it, target player gets to draw 3 cards, and discard 3 cards, activate only if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. So it helps us kind of really get going with things. But let's blow up that licensed hearse there and kind of clear up. We don't need any graveyard hate running around messing and targeting down our dredge cards. There we go. There's an Arcbound. Let's make a mana, play a Scales. Had to play it that way based on the mana we've got, and that means that the rest of the hand is probably all gas, right? All right, dredge side of things. Where are we going here? Are we up to 7? We might be close. Ooh, nada. We do nothing. Pass turn. Soul Cauldron comes out. Another way to target and start exiling cards. Combat, swing for 1. Okay. Otherworldly Gaze. Surveil 3. Let's throw some stuff in the graveyard. Also has that flashback effect, which we're seeing now take effect to allow us to be able to do another setup turn. We've got some dredge stuff in here, so at least Imp's going to get eaten, we know. Leaves Dark Blast in there, so we have the option to do some dredging at least. But we got stuck here. There's 3. 1, 2, 3. Whiff, whiff, whiff. Don't like that. Do we have a way to draw more cards? We probably have 7. We can activate the Coliseum, though.
Oh, hey, it's my card.
The problem is you draw, then discard. So it's like it does it in the opposite order of discard, then draw type effect. So let's see. Ox. We can't escape Ox because you need double red. In a weird spot now. Arcbound's just going to keep getting bigger. The more creatures that go into the graveyard, we'll just keep eating them with the Soul Cauldron and then buff up our Arcbound. Two Dark Blasts in hand. Not sure what that blue card is. That another Coliseum on the far left? No, Narcomoeba. Interesting. Activate it. Target player draws 3 cards. And then discards 3 cards. Yeah, Ox. Thug. What's our last card? Dark Blast. Yeah, makes sense. Do we have a land for turn?
Land for turn.
Yep.
Shock.
Bing, bing, bing. Take the shock damage for 2.
3.
Yeah, you hit me for 3, and then I'm taking 2.
You were at.
Oh, the double checking life totals and making sure
2 for my Cephalid Coliseum.
everything is correct. You know, that's the thing with doing it on camera. We've got players writing it on their life pads as well as trying to keep track of the little life total up at the top for us to kind of help us and the viewers at home.
I'll play this Token Pathway.
Okay, pathway.
I'm gonna exile your Ox of Agonist.
Let's get rid of the Ox. No more escapes. Ooh, getting big.
To animate Infect.
Animate Ink Moth. Do we get the win here? Do we have enough? 1,
I didn't think about this.
2, 3, 4. Ooh, there's the Dark Blast we got to worry about.
I'm gonna sacrifice Soul Cauldron to Exciter Raptor. 2 mana. I can Soul Cauldron.
Oh, there's another one. That's nice. Now we have a way to deal with it. Okay.
I'm gonna sacrifice Arcbound Ravager I'm gonna
Sacrifice the drum to Arcbound Ravager, give it more counters. So we had to have a way to respond to the Dark Blast. Let's sacrifice Arcbound Ravager to its own ability, and we're going to attempt to put this on the Ink Moth, which will get the Dark Blast response, which then allows us to exile this, put 2 counters on here. He gets -1.
Gets -1, so now it's a 2/2.
It's a 2/2. Now all these counters go on there. It gets 1 additional.
It's got this plus
less the
So it's here.
bam.
It's combat.
And there's the Infect damage to win it out game. All right, Infect, or at least the Inkmoth Nexus poison gets there. So that was tough for the Dredge player to work through all of that hate. And that's kind of the thing that you have to be aware of when you are... Oh, sorry. We did say our Dredge player was saying that they thought this Cephalid Coliseum didn't let you activate it on the first turn. Right, it entered tapped or something like that, but it did not. But yeah, that's the downside to Dredge. It's really cool, really powerful, but sometimes game 2 and 3, you are going to be on the back foot trying to fight through all the graveyard hate that's coming in to deal with it. If there's less graveyard hate, you're just going to crush through and speed through and do things the way that you want to do. But hope you guys enjoyed at least some showcasing of this new Modern Horizons 3 meta. We're starting to see some new decks in there, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys for the next game.